Royals are on the move. King Charles and Queen Camilla are about to make their first royal visit to France. The three-day trip will include a state banquet at the palace in Versailles. The King is also expected to give a speech in French, no less, to the Senate. And while the royal couple head to Paris, Prince William is on his own whirlwind tour in the US, where the finalists in his environmental competition have just been announced. For more, I'm joined by ITV Royal Editor Chris Shipp. Good morning to you. Chris, how significant is this trip by the King and Queen to France?
Well, good evening. Bonsoir from Paris, where the King and Queen arrive later here on Wednesday. And actually a really significant trip, because I was with the King and Queen when they went to Germany earlier this year. And that was all about soothing relations. If you cast your mind back to what happened with the UK and Brexit and all those arguments after that, they're sending the King and Queen out to these European neighbours of the UK, basically to say, we're still here, we're still your friends, and we'd still like to get on. That's what they did in Germany, and that's what we can expect from them in France. And you mentioned, Nat, the Palace of Versailles. Hopefully the King won't be reminded, of course, that it was the last King of France, Louis XVI, who lived at the Palace of Versailles. And, of course, he met a rather messy end at the guillotine a few years after the revolution in 1789.
Oh, well, bonsoir to you, and you've been honing up on your history, haven't you? So the King and the French President, Emmanuel Macron, are now going to have a meeting. What are they going to chat about?
Well, they might take part in that meeting in French, because the King's a very good French speaker. And again, I refer back to Germany when he gave an address to the German Parliament, and a lot of that was done in German. And you just know how well that goes down with our new European neighbours when a Brit, no less, bothers to speak their language. And the King will not only meet President Macron, he'll also address the French Senate, the first head of state to do that for some considerable time. And a lot of that we expect to be en français.
Oh, so Chris, if you've ever been to France, sometimes you try and do your French accent and it doesn't go down that well. Would that happen with the King?
It happens with me. I think I'm brilliant at French, and I go and talk at dinner tonight, for example, and I say, je veux le bœuf avec le vin rouge, and they answer me back in English because they can tell that I'm not French. So it's entirely possible that that will happen to the King as well.
Yeah, hopefully Macron will be a little bit nicer to King Charles. Now, turning to Prince William's visit to New York, what's been the response from the Americans to this?
Well, of course, if you saw a survey out a couple of weeks ago, do you remember that they said that the most popular public figure in all of America wasn't Prince Harry or Meghan Markle, it was actually Prince William, and he was in New York on the boat there, as you can see, and then donning his waders and getting into the River Hudson. This is all about some oyster project where they're trying to put old oyster shells back into the Hudson, because it was actually New Yorkers that destroyed all the oysters that used to live there. A bit of an environmental project, and you'll know about his Earthshot Awards. We've got the third one coming up in Singapore, and that's why he's in New York, to tell the world at the time of the UN General Assembly just how keen he is on helping to solve the world's environmental problems.
Right, OK. Thank you, Chris. Have fun. Practice your French.